Hi everyone, it's MJ from IUNPLUG. I'm IUNPLUG's founder. I'm a highly sensitive empath and an author and a speaker. I mainly talk about emotional intelligence and emotional awareness and the patterns of abuse that go along with being a highly sensitive and empathic person. Something that's increasingly growing in my awareness is how much everybody loves to throw labels around. Any of you guys who actually watch me regularly on this channel know that I'm not a big fan of labels because we're all human and we all go through ups and downs and we can all exhibit different personality traits at different times in our lives. And increasingly what I find interesting is how it seems to me that, yeah, everyone's an empath now. And that everyone dealing with shitty relationships, everyone's dealing with narcissists now. When I was growing up, it was passive aggressive tendencies. Recognize that this stuff we're talking about is an element of pathological lying and denial. And the reason this stuff is so tricky to narrow in on, and why someone like me, or even like a doctor of psychology, would have certain, you could say, rules around working with people with these tendencies. So passive aggressive people don't ever let you know that they're angry. They don't ever, and so they end up behaving in ways that would feel maybe really uncomfortable for the empath, but then continuously deny. Like if the empath were to say, hey, what's up? No, fine, good. But they're plotting. Like, I know it seems so twisted. This is why it's difficult for empaths to understand. Because you angered them, they'll be plotting, and then they will do things to anger you, or they'll do things to humiliate you, and they'll do things to get back at you. But it's not obvious, and it can't always be traced. Why? Because it's emotional, because people don't see it. And I'm just aware now that anytime anyone feels emotions, it appears that they're dealing with a narcissist. And in a certain situation, it kind of made me laugh because I just thought, oh man, everyone's an empath, everyone's a narcissist. Like, what are we going to do about this? And one thing that I'm aware of at this point in my journey is that same energy of how low vibration, you could say, the mass energy field is, and just how enslaved people are. Everyone is wounded. And so, in a sense, we are all, to a certain degree, narcissistic. Hi, hello Flair McDookie. And yet, the more we open our heart, the more empathy we can exhibit. So most, the majority of people just work in jobs and making money to get by, and in the world are traumatized, pretty much. Hi Flair, oh bless you. This is, well, it's about narcissism. Narcissist and empath are labels that should be attached to behavior instead of people. Right. Right. And then that leads me to think about covert narcissism, because there's like layers to this sort of personality disorder exhibited in behavioral traits. And then one sideline note that I have made here is they're pathological liars because they never can be honest about how they feel. It's always somehow redirected back at the emotional one, at the empathic one. And I mean, a lot of it you could just say would be even looking at working environments they believe their lie. I don't even know. Here's one thing that I'm getting to as well with this general type of conversation. As I'm doing what I'm about to say, I'm like, like, I don't know what the narcissists are really thinking about their lies. I don't know what pathological liars, what's going on inside. I don't know exactly how or why humanity has come to be exhibiting these behaviors. All I know is somebody throughout her life, regardless of being called anything whatsoever, because I was never called an empath. I was called too much. Calm down. You're being silly. Because, for example, when I went to the big city, I will never forget the visceral feeling I felt when I walked past a homeless person and I could feel what they were feeling. And at that point, my mother knew. My mother knew that I was a sensitive person, that I had a lot of compassion. Now, in fairness, to me personally, empathy is compassion. Compassion means that you fucking care about other people's well-being. And although people have continuously tried to tear me down or devalue my work, and actually it's come back to me, this isn't about me, but I'm noodling with you guys because, and then what you said, Brazen Error, Heath, about that was like, and I'm getting to the point where I'm like, I'm tired of talking about it. Like, I'm tired of labeling people and trying to pin people down and trying to blame and attack. And sorry. And that even wasn't exactly what I was getting. What's that? We spend all this time, or I'll speak for myself. I've spent all this time trying to please, these people in this world, and then only to have that work devalued or disrespected, and then I'm upset, right? But of course, this is the work that I present to the world in the Fearless Life Guide, in the book that I wrote, that we have to own our feelings. So I've spent most of my life just like owning all my feelings and like working really hard to keep showing up and keep being a better person. And I'm at this trajectory in my life where I'm realizing that other people don't have that outpouring. They're just wanting other people to do their bidding for them. So on that very basic level, for me personally, I realized that hanging out with people like that aren't doing inner work is actually very unhealthy for someone doing inner work, because they're just getting lots of other people to do whatever they want them to do. So they never bear the responsibility of their own feelings. Their own feelings are always reactive toward what other people are doing. And and then Heath, the real element was that like I spend all my time pleasing these types of people, and then once they break my heart, or once they destroy me, or once they kick me out of their business, or once they just do something because I fucked up and I'm not exactly sure why, but then they disown me or lie about me, and then I spend weeks and or months rationalizing their behavior for them. Oh, that's good. Feelings are reactive to surrounding energies, right? Because, and there again, here we are, the empath, the real empath, who genuinely cares, who's genuinely like done, and again, even after I published the book and have been pioneering this business, people still like tear it down. You're not who you say you are, you're da-da-da, and I'm like, there you go, because I'm not behaving how you want me to behave. And yet I've spent 15 years, or I've spent the last 2 years, or I've da-da-da-da-da, helping, supporting, being there, being the good girl, being the good person, supporting people in their businesses, just to be denied when it didn't suit them. Or when I got angry and said, because I want to feel valuable and I feel like I should deserve some sort of da-da-da, or I should just be allowed to be who I am, and then the other will just sit there silently, non-reactive, but the empath can feel the venom. They are angry, they're just not exposing their anger. That makes me think another thing. Oh, and then here I have a note about, so passive-aggressive narcissists, just understand that they're protecting their pain body. So we're sort of living in the pain body, looking at ways of transforming the base tone energies that we hit up against, where they're only in a reactive pattern of protecting their pain body. The empath community would be well aware of and working with the pain body, which for us, attracting every layer, every cycle of attracting narcissistic abuse is us empowering ourselves to freedom, because these people are triggering all the wounds until we lucky empaths get to carve out that core wound, which is the deepest shit. And I gotta say, these last couple of years, this last year and a half, I've witnessed it and been working with a lot who have been going through these kinds of really, really intense, hey, Red Chevy, not team food. What is the pain body protecting? Yeah, it is the culmination of all wounds. Well, and any and all, which is all the same. It's all just this, instead of like being here and relating to one another, we're all just like, you, and they're not connected. Like they're not. And this is where, again, it's interesting, you know, being kind and and even recently having somebody who I bumped into and was really nice to and spoke to for maybe about an hour, and had coffee with, and then at the end they felt really good about themselves. And then I emailed them saying, thank you so much, you know, for the coffee. That was nice. If you ever want to have more talks, here's my coaching rates. And then they responded just saying, well, that's great. I'll take you out for coffee again. And I'm thinking, well, that's interesting, because I don't think coffee is, pays rent. Nor do I think going out for coffee is a lucrative business platform. And yet people just think that's nice. Like that's a nice perspective. And I'm like, yeah, because the inner work is what's invisible that you don't see that's going on, which is why it's so nice, which is why it feels good. But anyway, that's stuff my personal, but the narcissistic stuff is what I'm noodling with, is that like everyone is for the most part trained and programmed by our systematic education to be narcissistic. Be out for number one. And in fairness, like I have memory. Probably I was maybe 13 years old, and I was playing on the train tracks with one of my super wealthy friends, and the train was coming, train driver honking. I jumped off, was like, get off the train track. And then right at the last minute, she got off and was kind of like swaggering. You know when you do when you're like a teenager doing stupid shit like that. And I was like panicking, being like, imagine how that train driver would have felt. Like, and then she just looked at me and was like, psh, like I'll ever be a train driver. And those were the sort of experiences that just would always be like, oh, right. As in, some people were programmed like, but you're not those people. Like, you're this type of person. You're wealthy and white. You're never going to have to live like that, so you don't ever have to worry about those people. Whereas someone like me have navigated this world, making it somehow, for whatever reason, a mission to like, I don't want to live here if that's what the world is. Like a lot of us empaths have been suicidal and depressive a lot up and down through our lives, right? It's it's not like it's not so this is part of like the paradox of our old paradigm separation viewpoint. It's that we all just think that whatever's going on out there has nothing to do with us. You see how like, okay, there are really clear-cut ways, and I guess the reason why I like to noodle with it is that I watched a couple videos which helped me deal with the situation the way I needed to deal with it. And yet I'm aware that a lot of the video representation of how these tendencies and behaviors act out are maybe really, really, really obvious, but when you're in it, when you're in the abuse cycle, like you just can't see it because you're so used to it. And a lot of us as empaths, it's not just one person. It's not just like one relationship. the majority of our relationships, most of our romantic partners, the majority of our like authority figures and teachers, like anyone that we've wanted to please, anyone that we've, you know, in the whole world in that regard, in essence. And so it's really interesting at this point for me to, you know, to have a friend who's going through some heavy duties, like heavy fucking duty shit right now, I'm talking. And they're getting messages like, you're a fucking narcissist. You're a da da da. And I'm going, no, no. And there again, as the empath, I can feel how painful that is. Because for the empath, they're gonna check themselves then. They're gonna like go in and be like, am I behaving? When they've been actually there all along, giving of self, supporting, and just because they can't support because they got loads of shit going on, now they're a fucking narcissist, right? And I'm thinking, we don't know what we're saying. We don't know what we're, you know, when I in my life, I only really came across the term narcissism last year. And it was only through charting the list of what narcissistic abuse looks like that I was able to suss out, oh, I'm highly empathic, okay, which means that most of these relationships that I've had to walk away from in the end were the typical narcissistic empath relationship dynamic. Because I, as the empath, was most of my life acting out the wound of trying to please my parents. I know, I'm 37. Go figure. Apparently, this is just par for the course. 20s, we're unconsciously acting it out. 30s, we're given the opportunity to transform all childhood patterns, to clear up about 65,000 years of Earth-time karmic debt. Yes, Susanna. That is what we're doing. In our little human drama mind, though, we call it empathy, narcissism. You're a narcissist. I'm so empathic. And I'm doing it too. But thank you, Amanda. Like, this is part of why I do it, is that who cares about narcissism? We just have to keep doing what we do. We have to keep believing. We have to keep feeling the as good of the feelings as we can, and we have to keep projecting the positive vibrashe across the nation. You know, we have to continue to heal. And all's that I'm noticing is that I'm healing in a direction where the people that I'm relating to are getting more and more resonant. I wonder why that is. Oh, because I'm in a more resonant connection with the self. I'm in a more deeply trusting, more deeply loving, more deeply unconditional relationship with myself. And it took me 37 years to get here because most of us women, from a very, very young age, and men to a certain degree, we are literally programmed to just find a man. My worth, my value, and my ability to survive is rested upon me being able to find a man. Like, that's a real program that most women are acting out. Find me a man. And it's primordial. It's for survival. It's fight, flight. It's not like, you know, it's not for nothing. And so women, as the more emotional creatures, we bear a responsibility of feeling our emotions as deeply as possible and empowering ourselves to freedom. You can't necessarily expect the ones who are told they're not allowed to feel, or they'll die, to just start breaking down and feeling all their feelings. You know, women have to fucking anchor into their divinity, which I know we want it to look like flowers and supermodels, but divinity is something fucking fierce. And again, words nothing. Words have nothing on what this divine power, wisdom, and force is. Our little petty human, like, they're fucking narcissistic, oh, they're all of that, ultimately in the big grand scheme of it, don't matter. What matters is that you have an ability to drop into your heart center and breathe and feel. And that's what people often don't want to do. This is easy. This little chit chat, or like, you know, this person who's like, hey, let's go for another chat. That's easy. You know, what's not as easy as actually doing the inner work and actually transforming your thought patterns around blame and attack, divide and conquer. Oh yeah, I know. Well, and there's well, in essence as well, the reason why we women have to take this stuff on really, really diligently is because there's a lot of fear in a lot of men around doing this work, because they would have been denied for feeling and or persecuted for feeling as well. So so it's all connected, right? But it's really important for us to continue to do this work if we, you know, hey Red Chevy, where are you from? I sometimes find your messages like a bit cryptic. I don't always fully understand. Nice. Stand in love, right? Like, and that's the difference. Narcissistic equals politician. I'm sure a lot of people could agree with that. Narcissist, you mean it all about them. Yeah, I know. And here's the thing for me, and like, it falls into life lessons. Yeah. So narcissists, it's all about them. And like, for most of my life as well, hanging around with narcissists, I would always like do things to make them, but then whenever I'd make a wrong step and I'd start to cry or I'd get emotional and I'd get upset because I did something wrong, then they would be like, oh, and it would still be about them. Like, as in, my emotional reactivity was a burden to them, even though it wasn't even necessarily about them. And so you learn all these coping mechanisms as a kid, basically, which is why we end up doing these self-sabotage, self-destruct patterns into adolescence and into adulthood, because we're all traumatized children of this earth. Like, yeah, there's just a lot of trauma in the field on this planet, and until we can just like really open-heartedly address it, all we do is run around in circles with people. You know, we run around, and hence where I just want to empower people who resonate with the empathic community to just focus on yourself. And don't let anyone deter you from that. Don't let anyone take you away from that journey. Just focus on yourself. Because even for me, as I really stand in my integrity and truth and begin to manifest the life that I have been diligently working on, this all to love movement now since 2012, 2013, you know, and 6 years in, and all I know is that I have to keep going. And it's not been obvious. There's not been capital and money thrown at this movement. It's just been me in my bedroom, believing in more for myself, yeah, and for the world. Because the only reason I became a yoga teacher was to serve in a more healthy way than going for auditions and getting drunk every weekend working in a retail shop. That wasn't serving my highest good, and I knew that it was destroying me, because I was acting in destructive ways that got me into trouble, into danger, and could have killed me. So yoga and meditation, and now, you know, over 10 years of diligent daily and regular yoga and meditation practice, the refinement of your vessel, the clarity of your vessel, it changes. And so, you know, after a while, you stop taking on the abuse. You stop buying into other people's projections of you. Atlanta? You're in Chicago. Red Chevy. I was still wondering where you are, my friend. I know, and I find it interesting at this point because I really don't like follow any news. I'm not like, I don't even know at all what's going on in the world politic. Hey, sweet Cece. Big hugs for you. With Pasted Life. So vibing with that. This lifetime. Hey, Melissa T. How are you? And yeah, and it is weird. I think it's weird for the empath. The empath are more, there's a definite like through line of the storyline with empath as well. So yeah, like the empath is just somebody, yeah, who's felt other people's feelings, who's typically been told they're too much, too sensitive, you know, they need to get their shit together or get with the real world or blah 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 blah. And then growing up, so like more like once you're sort of into your teens and whatnot, you typically always felt alien. And also what has come as a reminder to me that another empathic quality is that you were one of the kids who couldn't be mean to the uncool kid or the poor kids or the kid with the funny tooth. Like you were always the kid who couldn't join the group pack mentality and gang up on that little vulnerable kid. So like because I was chatting with I think one of you, I think a client, and you said that one of my clients just said the same thing of like, yeah, I could never beat up on them, like, and then it jogged a memory of like, yeah, me neither. I remember this kid, I for some reason feel like his name was Billy, like he used to just get and oh god, it makes me want to cry just thinking about him. And then there was this other family, they were like the super poor family, and I just, yeah, it makes me want to cry, like the cruelty. And even then I'm like, and I even then, that's probably way back when there was still this feeling of like us being more in that privilege, but I still couldn't enjoy like making fun of these people, and never have. I even in as an adult, like when people gossip too much or people are just talking fucking shit, after a while I'll either be like, this is not fun, say something like, could we stop talking about shit, or just walk away. Because what's happening is that people are in their pain body reactivity and they're literally like spewing venom. They're literally like not wanting to look at their wound, not wanting to look at their self-hatred, their self-loathing, what have you, their unworthiness. So instead of addressing that deeper wound, they're just sitting there going, yeah, they're a fucking da-da-da-da-da. Like, oh, who does she think she is? Whoa, she thinks she fucking cares? She thinks motherfucking Teresa? And you're like, ah! Ah! Because it has nothing to do with anything else other than your heart, other than the fact that you really, really care, you know? It's hard to look at self, Melissa, I know, and yet it's all we got left. Oh man, body armor, Melissa, for legit truth, isn't it? Hey, enjoy it, bro. Haven't seen you in a while. Healing either is the merging of both polarities to create a new higher octave emotion. That's right. That's what it feels like is happening inside my body. Hey, I have a fang in for unconsciousness. Yeah, well, and I spent years, as I'm sure many of you have. God, I worked with a healer for like 2.5, 3 years, almost every single week. And every single week, all we did was pretty much bring down heart walls. I didn't even realize how much untrust I had. I didn't even realize, you know? And we didn't. And this is why anyone who's been doing energy work for more than a few weeks, I'm at least, like, come on, right? Like, doing energy work for at some sort of disciplined timeline, and, you know, I don't even know that I can narrow it in on the energy work, because I'm certain there are people who are doing lots of that and still not necessarily, yeah, but then they're gonna see that's not my problem. I'm like, wait, stop, it's not your issue, to try to figure out how and when that's gonna how and when that's all gonna unfold for that person. Again, what is all of this anyway? Paradigm shift or blah blah, Alta Love TV, any of us that ended up on this weird and wonderful ride of the YouTube land where we endeavored to create our own reality because we came across Abraham Hicks or Mike Dooley or you know, Deepak and Louise Hay and what's the other one, that big one, The Secret. You know, we come across it, we're like, oh my god, yeah, I want to create my own reality. And a lot of us, I don't know, a lot of us, I know definitely like Divine Sight or whatever, that we've come across Louise Hay when we were really young. Which is why, like, all the positive thinking, for me personally, by the time it was introduced to The Secret, I was a little bit like, because I'd been practicing positive thinking really, really diligently for like 10 years. The positive thinking is what helped me kind of get stable after I tried to commit suicide and was suffering with anorexia and bulimia for a few years. Yeah, Heal Your Life. So my mom introduced me to Heal Your Life when I was like 15 years old. So I practiced positive thinking basically as a way not to kill myself for most of it. And then when I came across The Secret, and then I started to study metaphysics after getting into yoga, because I realized the acting business was really not for me, when I started to study science and metaphysics, that's when I started to really get more aligned and in tune and aware of manifestation as a path, not like not the way The Secret, although I'm not dissing The Secret at all, but like the way The Secret has been, I guess, popularized or capitalized is of course triggering our unworthiness wound. It just like advertising does. The Secret basically has done the same thing to a lot of the masses where it's like, you're not enough, so you can create, and then there's this whole veil around you can create your reality. But there again, it's focusing on a veil of superficiality which is already not real. And so we're having as a collective to uncreate the non-reality, that which is not really aligned with the heart and soul of humanity. Okay, see how I go off on one, you guys? Welcome to Alta Love TV. And I always trust and believe at this point that it's somehow useful to you guys, even my deep emotional storms, because there's been quite a lot of, not a lot, I'm not like tooting my trumpet, but like, do you remember a couple, maybe last week, I think it was last week, I was hardcore pre-meni and emotion to the max. And I had a very emotional, stormy one called Storming at Injustice. And based off of that, I've had like 2 or 3 different inquiries for coaching sessions. And I almost took it down. So like I almost took the video down out of my own egoic shame and embarrassment. And then I put it back up because I was like, no, Molly, you shameless girl. I'm shameless. And it was like, no, put it out there. You were guided to very powerfully. Get over yourself and leave it up there. And now I am over it. But then it's so funny that I went through that little wobble and then literally within hours of me deciding to relist it, then I check whatever I checked, probably Facebook business page. And then there's a message, you know? I love the Winnie one too. What's that about? Oop, please pray for us. Yes, Red Chevy. Prayers for you. Tav the Piglet at 15 years old. How wonderful. Well, I just loved Winnie the Pooh. I think, and now as an adult, I can see why. There's such, I want to say like there's such archetypal energy in like, oh, well, and actually this is kind of relevant to like a lot of our social dis-ease and like inability to just like have feelings. And like think of Eeyore. Think of Eeyore in the friendship circle of Winnie the Pooh. He's depressive. But they're not trying to fucking medicate the guy, are they? Like, they just accept Eeyore as being a little bit like this. They're like, what's wrong, Eeyore? Smile, Eeyore. Cheer up. Take some Vitakin or whatever that fucking drug is or whatever, right? Jesus. But then I'm like, but no. In this harmonious and diversified group of friends, which, let's be honest, when do you see bears and pigs and donkeys and tigers all hanging out? So you have this mixed race group of friends all hanging out, and Eeyore is accepted for who he is. Right? It's like making me want to cry. It's making me emotion. Because I was one of those people who grew up with a depressed person. And the amount of shame inside those walls, the amount of, like, when you're little and you're trying to go out into the world and pretend like everything's okay at home, you know? And then you're holding this wound of not knowing, you know? And any empath knows, like, what it's like when you don't know. When you're fearful at school because you're not sure if your mom's going to be alive when you get home. And in a way, I wish the world or some of my friends in high school had asked, you know, how's your mom doing? Is your mom okay? Not what's wrong with you and your family, right? Elf, you've been called Tigger, have you? Especially around. Right, Katie J. They don't leave him out of anything. No. Where a lot of us, for being sad or depressed, we had to completely isolate. Or people, when they're depressed, they're a fucking burden. Like, oh, are you still sad? Oh, could you just try to be less sad? And it's like, but that goes to show that we're all unhealed. Because we're all, like, pushing against feeling. You know, the only reason somebody gets triggered at all by anyone ever is because you're triggering a wound within, you know? Hey, Gabriella. Well, thanks. That's nice. Hey, gee, thanks. I just met somebody who's like, I'm very proud of you. Thank you very much. Helping each other get through for sure, right? Oh my God, can you be less sad now? Yeah, right? Like, that's just, like, could you just stop being sad? And you're like, okay. There. And then, but then the thing for my intensity and becoming more and more introvert, more and more isolated, I'm not, like, intentionally trying, it's just what's happened in my life, and my life has just become this. Like, I didn't when I was 3 years old, I'm like, I'm gonna be all alone when I'm 37, broadcasting on the YouTube, talking about how deceptive the world is, and then all my dreams are gonna come true. No, this was not my fucking intention. This is who I have become. Why? Because I was born into a world that I was just like, and now, simply because I've survived, I'm like, holy fuck, where are the other survivors? And like, does anyone else get this? And like, I don't want to label us. I don't care. I don't want people to label each other, full stop. That's why I wrote a book about it. That's why, you know, and I gotta say, as somebody putting herself out there, it is challenging. It's fucking tough. I've lost really, like, no, I'm not even gonna fucking go there. I'm not even gonna go there. It's challenging. When you put yourself out there, you put yourself out to be attacked, gossiped about, judged, belittled, ripped apart, ripped down. You don't know how many not how many, but there have been enough, even to my face, who have told me that, like, I was wrong and that everything I wrote in the book was just a big pile of shit, and that how dare you. How dare you talk about fucking forgiveness? And you're just like, I just wanted to share some love juice, vibrashe. Like, as in, I'm not even attached to that. I just got guided to Bali and wrote a book. And things lined up to let me publish it. It wasn't this big affair. It was never written as an intention for my ego. It was written because that was the next step for my guided path. And the thing is, most people that don't get being on a guided path don't get being on a guided path. Because you're just doing what you're told. I was never able to do what I was told. So I'm not no victim. I just wasn't able to fit in. And instead of trying to fit in, I just ended up, I don't know, floating around the fringes of the world until I was like, hey, wait a minute. YouTube, talking, heart love, maybe I can, oh. And then you think about that song, what's it, Oasis? Start a revolution from my bed. Is it something like that? But then when I started broadcasting, like, from my little, like, yoga space way back when, I was like, guys, let's start a revolution from our bedrooms on YouTube with the hot love vibrashe. And the hot love is basically transforming all the fear of the world. Melissa, all fear is a lie, so what lies have we believed? Right. And so the way I look at it is like the fear and or lies are the trigger points that trigger us, and then if we can hold space for them, we can actually transform the malaligned belief system that keeps us in that trigger pattern. Because most, like, this is another thing about the world that we live in, is that it's mega externally focused. Everyone just buys into that as the real world, right? So it's like, to unravel that, we have to really go within quite deeply. Meditation and relaxation isn't just like, oh yeah, clear the mind. It's to direct fucking consciousness. It's so that you can be clear enough to own the totality of your vibrational field, which includes the mental projection, and then project into the field something entirely new, something entirely different, something more abundant, something more free, something more da-da-da. And my awareness here is that because everyone's so fucking, and it's not their fault, concerned about survival because they're triggered, because their fight-flight responses are being triggered nonstop by bombardment and violent fucking advertising and glamour. So they're constantly being triggered by fear and unworthiness. And then all they have to go do is shop. Nobody takes the time out, because the moment they take the time out, they get a headache, and then they start to get sick, and then, oh my God, there's all these feelings. Oh, thank God I get to go back to work. You know, I've had private clients actually say that. Like a year and a half into working with me, and they're like, I think I just want to go back to my corporate job. And I'm like, okay. They don't. They don't, because they realize that the enslavement patterning is way more destructive than the healing one, but the healing one just isn't fluffy bunny tail rabbits and whatever, you know, peaches and cream. Oh, by the way, hi Fifth. I did see you there. And I wanted to say, hey, I've been free from alcohol for 5 years, and I've never been a crackhead, for the record. I love you, Fifth. I've never been a crackhead either. Chronic stoner, which nobody ever thinks, but yeah. But no, and alcohol, same. 6 years, 7 years now. Good times. And I just, like, I never rezzed with alcohol, and I prefer plants. That's all. I think, like, plants are legit awesome. And, like, juicy hot love vibe. And, like, they help us to, yeah, say, because so love so. And, like, I think, oh, and then I actually saw something really cool about how, this is based on the conversation. Interesting, Melissa. Similar. No pills past the alcohol stage. Well, I think once we're doing all this emotional work, I never could do plants. See? Awesome. See, just interesting. Everyone's just so different, right? Buds often and coke rarely. And really clean cocaine, again, isn't the same stuff that it's propagated to be on the street, right? Yeah, and I'm working with that. Like, I'm really vulnerable and honest with you guys about, I know that it's still, there's still like a low level attachment for me in my personal life. But because of how I came off alcohol, I'm endeavoring to do the same with smoking and with cannabis, is that I feel in my energetic vortex this more harmonious, celebratory, and fun way of being with this plant. But in my little introvert, this is gonna make me a bit sad and crying, but I got this thing. It's this like roller thing. So I guess I'm having another healing session. Yeah. So what triggered my little like my little cry was like um like how much the plants have been my friends. When humans were not. I think that's why so many of us as empaths just have better relationships with animals or narcotics than people, because people just abuse us. So increasingly over the years, there was just one thing left, just oh, interesting, divine sight. The spirit moving makes us cry. It's so true. Oh, sweet CC, you guys, I just love you so much. Oh, man. I never know this is coming up. I felt really on it today as well. I was like, bosh. Like, I am on it. But you guys know, like, this is me on it, too. Because I'm just letting so much go. I can't even quite, like... And, like, the polarity of, like, deservingness is just insane right now. Are the only ones around. The birds are the only one around. What's more about that I want? I'm looking at the jade rollers. Ugh. Just appreciation of wisdom your soul has learned yet. Crying will be fun right now. Sink even more into this healing process. It's so like that sometimes, isn't it? Like, oh, I've tapped a water well. Let's tap it. Oh, like it's just, it can so be like that. Some storms are a little bit more, you know what I'm saying? Other ones are more, oh yeah, baby. A bit more orgasmic in nature, I guess you could say. Let's tap it. Get those water wells going. It's plasma though. It's fucking plasma. That's the whole weird thing about all this fucking transformation. I'm like, oh my god. My plasma reality is changing. So beautiful. The mockingbird in my backyard. It's a happy crying. Yay. Yeah, I know. I pretty much always when I cry, it's a happy cry, even when it's been pain, because I'm like, yes. Oh, there it is. I'm releasing. Not when no show body is purging all your feelings. Got you. Oh yeah, because I got you. I remember, sweet CC. Well, in fairness, so's mine. Actually, not as much as last month, but oh, look. Do you see the redness? I'm releasing shits. I remember, see. I had a huge release at one point this month as well. Actually, I'm trying to think. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I had like a rather explosive Oh my god, you guys, I'm so sorry for the crudeness. I had a rather explosive encounter with another human, and it's not by chance that the following day I was having explosive experience. on the on the toilet that I get to share with my YouTube family and my professional clientele base, which I do love to be able to say with absolute accuracy and awesomeness. And I'm so thankful for you guys, because this last cycle I've had some residue experiences manifest just to remind me of how little worth I used to have. And then people treating me with absolutely zero value. And I'm like, oh, wait, step back, take a breath, walk away. Or no response. Then I don't need to engage with that, because I know myself to not be that anymore. So I don't need to get caught up in it. I don't need to get caught up in the fight. I don't need to defend myself. I don't need to protect myself. I just need to walk away. It's weird, eh? Because I'm like, I know I'm way happier for it, but you can actually feel the void of your old suffering patterns. You're like, who am I now without all of that lack and all of that suffering? You have to like re-describe who you are. So I can only really speak from the empathic point of view when it comes to all this narcissist stuff, but just be mega mindful, my empath community, because I know almost for certain that 99.999% of all y'all who naturally gravitate to me, you're like me. You're an empath. You feel resonance, and you have done your whole life, and because of that empathy, you have pretty much made it your fucking mission to make everyone you meet happy. And increasingly with the energy shift, that's not working out too good for you no more. So you're gonna have to take action and step away from certain patterns of behavior. Your own, of course. But be aware that there are some people who are not going to like that, and they're going to try to make you feel real bad for empowering yourself and or taking space or separation, i.e. having boundary. Yeah. So other empaths will respect your boundary and respect your choices. A narcissist will then turn around and tell you you're a fucking narcissist for having boundary. That's a one thing. So and I say it with almost a bit of a grain of salt there, because I had my dearest friend who is like literally a champion and bends over backwards for people, is like the most reliable person you ever met, and he is endeavoring to break free from a toxic situation, from somebody who doesn't own her emotions and is pretty heavily into her drinking and partying, and you know, he's having to step away. And then I had a message just saying, am I this? So he's worried, am I this? And then what is it? It's a definition of a narcissist. And who sent it? The fucking narcissist. So that's how twisted all this shit can get for the empath who just wants to serve, who just wants to make people happy. And then, but then when you start to behave in different ways, that's when the manipulation begins. I realize that I have been in a severely manipulative situation for over 3 years. It's taken me 3 years, 3.5 to work it out. It really took me taking this next level leap into my empowerment and into my freedom in my online career. It's taken 3.5 years to transition. I wish so much that I could be like, change your career in 3 months. Except I couldn't. I couldn't even say 3.5 years, because I know that was just my personal journey. I've been working with somebody for 2 years, and she's still changing. She's still transitioning. Here's the thing about how twisted our system is that people are lost. People might look like they have their shit together, as in they have a good job, they have a mortgage, they have a husband, they have all these things, but they're lost inside. So when they start to have awakenings, not everyone needs everybody necessarily in the regard of guidance and coaches and however, personally, I have had coaches and healers and people that I've worked with over the years to help navigate, right? And so when we start having the awakenings, having support systems is really useful for us so that we don't get lost even further and or fall into traps of abuse, cycles of abuse, because when we start to have the awakenings, we become very vulnerable. We become vulnerable, you know? That's tree hugger. So that is literally what's happening in my reality now. Because even in, you guys know that I've been like full-time, fairly like exclusive, you could say, yoga teacher because of how I ended up working at certain retreats. And I left those environments because they were so toxic. Even though the product wasn't toxic, like the product was awesome, but behind the veil, you know, you know, working for people that are exhibiting one image, but then behind the scenes it's toxic and bullying and painful, you have to leave that situation. And then also what happened was, I'm just gonna delete that. I don't know what you're talking about. So yeah, so increasingly as I built up my online clientele, I've been consciously, and anyone who freelances or runs their own businesses knows this as well. It's not like you just want to work with anybody, you know? It's not like you just go around and grab all these people to try to make money. No, it's much more of an exchange. There's, because you know you're constantly learning. So you're not trying to NLP people into buying your services. It's just resonance. And increasingly, you know, as the resonance continues to unfold, I see the power in it. Hence why would you change yourself? Why would you try to manipulate yourself, you know? And it really is, so what Susanna Amanda said about the 26,000, 13,000, there's like all of these culmination cycles. This is karmic clearing. So we're tying off huge karmic cycles, which for a lot of us, these are the people that we would have been enslaved by. Pardon me, these are the people that would have been our persecutors, our executioners, our masters, you know, people that we were indebted to because we were killed and crucified for the energies that we brought here. Fifth, that's brilliant. Fifth, just saying we're up against some shit, and but we are protected, and I do know this to be true as well. I know we're protected, and I know that people we're connecting to, that we're assisting in that protective field energy. It's really important that we keep our energy field protected. Aw, Melissa T, you're lovely. Revel, Revel, somebody you have to have banter with. But I like the energies. I don't get triggered by you, Revel. And even if I did, I would invite you to stick around. I just find you funny. Right. Divine sight. I'm there with you, sister. I also have ties in this life to my historical, yeah, beheadings. Yes, they reveal their true colors and how. Right. And so this is all that's happened through veil after veil, via veil, via veil, through veil, through veil, through veil. We're seeing the true colors. We're seeing it act out. So now I'm seeing how that sociopathic kind of behavior operates, as in they're just playing games with everyone around them to try to feed their ego, to feed their pain body. And I would never, as a child, even been able to like grasp with that, because it's mostly just been like being a good girl, you know, Catholic church upbringing. And then ultimately having this weird awareness, going within and digging out all of this shame and guilt and fear and betrayal and mistrust and all this crazy gunky energetic. And then, yeah, and then here I am just sort of like poking my head out the other side of that. And endeavoring just to talk about all this healing and manifestation from my personal perspective, and having written a book, but not wanting to play the card of corporate entrepreneurialism, which basically to me is just, and you could also say spiritual or corporate spirituality, which is just the systematic imprint of these things that we want to compartmentalize in our system. So that's part of the reason I kind of left the yoga industry, as it were, was because I'm like, so we're not going to take all this beautiful yogic spiritual wisdom and use it to infuse our narcissistic beast of a system world with change. We're just going to try to squeeze this expansive practice into our small, narrow, little world. That's not enough for me. So to me, it's like the world, and that would have been my noodle. I was like, oh, fucker. Fuck. So that means I have to change? Shit. You know? That's what I came to. Is like, I just kept hitting my head against a wall, thinking the world needs to change, the world needs to change. And then I'm like, oh, I need to change. I need to change it all. You know, I could look at that comment, do you believe the sacredness of our Lord Jesus? I believe in the sacredness of all of life. I believe in the sacredness of all of humanity. I feel connected like a brother to someone like Jesus or Buddha, dare I say, even Hitler. Every single human being that has ever walked this planet, we are connected to. I'm not interested, I'm afraid, in your anger, okay? There again, that's a very typical example that I'm not behaving, I'm not saying, I'm not doing what this person expects of me. They're wanting me to affirm or do something to make their world acceptable, and then there's this anger, answer me, you know? It's really interesting to be able to, again, just hold it, and then that's not even real, you know? They lost quicker than I thought they would. Well, and there is just day to day when I'm learning stuff from within my own reality, it's this beautiful, beautiful, this is why I just want to extend so much love and support to the empath community, because it is, and that's probably why you've seen so many tears this last week. Like, I'm free. I'm liberated. I get to be me. If I don't like the vibrashe that you're messaging, I'm going to delete you. Not out of hatred, not out of a lack of love, but because the energy that you bring to this group does not feel in alignment with the energy that we're holding. And if you want to talk about it, if you want to express, if you want to send an email to me, as long as there feels an open-hearted, harmonious dialogue and an honest dialogue, then I'm happy to co-create with you. But this is not a space for us all to feel attacked because we're not responding to that kind of commenting. You know, in essence, y'all, even though most of us have never met in person, we're all friends here. It's been, I know, and I love how this is why I'm like, people just wouldn't get it. People just wouldn't get it because we just so have that bush and like in love. But like that comment is like legit, the resonant connection has been waiting for this for so many lifetimes. It's so exciting. I'm like, I know. This is why I'm like, we get it. It's like, how do you guys how do we all in all these different parts of the world get to these same exact things and then also be like, you know, where everybody else are starting to have all their lids be popped off and they're like, and then we're like, all these like spiritual awakenings that spun us all out in our different timelines, we're all now anchoring in this new energy. And all the masses are going to start their spiritual awakenings, and their spin out awakening process is going to be way easier than ours. So, result for everybody. And this is the stage where we can start to totally embody the energetic stream of everybody gets to win, as in like what Kurt says, the resource-based economy versus whatever we just come from, the debt-based economy, enslavement system versus a freedom system. Like, essentially, instead of having the value system being progress, i.e. make more, the resource-based economy is like this, yeah, just regenesis. That's evolution as well. That's the evolution of consciousness on this planet. The thing is that we're tapping the technology from within the self. As in, it's not in the technology outside of us. So I got this thing. This is, I am such a consumer, you guys. Scrolling on Instagram, I got one of these because it looked like it worked. Although, what I did, so I don't know if you guys, any of you yogi people out there, Zeus, I'm with you. We should just help one another because we want to. Like, that is how I've lived my life. Me helping homeless people, me helping friends, and then other people around being like, Molly, you need to stop being so generous. You need to stop da-da-da-da-da. And in fairness, they had an element of correctness about that because there was a lot of my own naivety and it was actually my own protective wounding, and that's why I was trying so hard to help everybody all the time. But the truth is that I've only ever really wanted to help, and so really it's like, brr, it looks like you're shaving your forehead. I am! Tree hugger. Gotta get rid of this hairy face. No, this is, so in yoga, or is it, what am I even saying in yoga? Well, actually, in fairness, it probably is. There's like, you could probably call it face yoga or something like that. But I watched this thing about, oh, and this is another thing. You know how like everyone has to wear sunglasses and there's all this like fright around sun being damaging. I saw this thing yesterday where I was like, there's like something in our eyeballs where we have to register sunshine for our body, for our skin, to start creating the, whatever it is, the melanin, or I don't know, there's something our skin naturally produces which protects us from the sun, i.e. the harmful rays. However, if we are wearing sunglasses all the time, our eyeballs don't register, and then oh, thank you. Yes, Zeus is on it. So the sun affects the eyes, which affects the pineal gland, which then gets our skin to kind of absorb all of the good rays and not the bad. And then, but we all wear sunglasses and then are propagated by the fear of the skin cancer, but it's actually the sunglasses that are causing the skin cancer, not the rays of the sun. And then similarly, because we were talking about this, tobacco. Tobacco, like cannabis, is actually a healing herb and plant. Factory cigarettes are not, though. As in, obviously clean spring water is really good for us, but chlorinated water is not. I sun gaze too. Hey, Karen. It's good to do at dawn and dusk. Awesome. So these are, and yes, dawn and dusk. So there's like that time of day, I'm pretty sure is quite special and unique. And I feel like the sun gazing at those times are actually part of like traditions, native traditions. You are right about tobacco. They poison it. They poison the tobacco, and let's not forget that our thoughts create things. So then they mass produce and imprint the consciousness of the humans with tobacco is bad. And then that's just another, and that's what I'm aware of, these overarching divide and conquer tactics. So what's next? Tobacco. And then everybody divides each other up. Smokers are fucking disgusting. And then what was it? Sugar. Sugar is the fucking antichrist, and everybody's off sugar, and da, 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 da. And then And then what? And then meat is the thing. And then we'll right? So it's like they just propagate nastiness, which then infuses everybody with the psyche of this is bad for me, this is bad for me, this is bad for me, which then creates that environment. Whereas even someone who will have those roll-up cigarettes, I typically would never smoke the that's a lie actually. If I couldn't get, I would still have a factory fag. Although with the zero waste, with those plastic filters, it's got to go, you know. However, you can do organic, natural BD cigarettes. You can get natural tobacco. So if I ever wanted a cigarette, I could roll a natural tobacco. It would be zero waste, and it would really not be that harmful. And here's the thing. Non-chemicalized tobacco doesn't even fucking stink the way the factory stuff does. Trying to be vegan. It's fun, dude. Go vegs. Go vegs. Or you can get a week or two of that, of the Vegan Love course if you want. I roll my own and zero waste. Yeah, I think for those of us in this community, I think last time I went to Bali, I was still buying the like, I call them factory fags. It's not a particularly good expression, but factory cigarettes. But boy, you could really feel the like the chemicals, and you can also tell how the chemicals make those kinds of cigarettes even weirdly more addictive. I don't know if you guys get that as well. Whereas rolling, there's like you have a relationship. It's like cooking your food versus just picking a packet. You know what I'm saying? Oh, a hemp cigarette. Interesting. I tried one time, like all the cycles, like many of us who do smoke from time to time, we still, we've tried lots of different things in the past to nick it, to stop it. And I tried the herbal stuff, but then I was like, but there's no nicotine. I'm not getting anything from this. So it didn't do it for me. Although all these years later, when I'm realizing with conscious breath work, with doing love light, with doing meditations, with healing elixir connected to the infinite, your body is not susceptible in the same way when you're fully conscious. As in, you have a regenesis elixir, vibrashe, within you that really can allow you to keep showing up in the beingness that you are. At the same time, you do have to keep staying present and addressing the little aches and pains or cellular distortion in your body if something is having an adverse effect for you. So someone like me, if I'm feeling the effects, I will like go hours and hours and hours without, and then or set intentions to get myself away and have a detox, and or I'll sit and meditate and do a whole bunch of breathing, conscious breathing, so that I'm like using my awareness in connection to the cellular activity of my body and cleansing my lungs. Because I remember I used to go to a really awesome chica locally to do singing lessons, because it was around the time that I was ramping up, becoming more like sought after yoga teacher, and I was being asked to and to chant more, and I still had a lot of like issues. So I did singing lessons, and my singing teacher said that so my singing teacher said that when she breathes really deeply, what am I trying to say? She had a client come to see her for breath work, for singing, who used to be a smoker but hadn't smoked for 20 years. She came to see the singing teacher. And then she showed this woman how to breathe properly, i.e. how to breathe deeply. And that this woman said that even after something ridiculous, like 10 years or 15 years of not being a smoker, she said she took a properly deep, deep, deep breath, exhaled fully and completely, and could smell the smoke smell coming out of her lungs. So it's as much the way we're self-caring on a day-to-day basis, mind, body, and emotions, and spirit, in how we're relating to everything around us, that determines the effect it's having on our body. To me, it's more about the unconsciousness and the just perpetuation of toxicity. So we could focus solely on the smoking, and yet people are wearing materials that have chemicals. People we're breathing in air pollutants potentially. We're eating nothing but processed food. We're having toxic, unharmonious encounters with one another. People are in a state of contempt and despair, you know? So, I mean, yeah, we could focus on this smoking is like so nasty. And I'm thinking, so is dropping bombs on innocent fucking countries. So is like, and that's kind of always been my thing, my little inner radical thing, was that I'm like, okay, let's fucking shit on the smokers, or let's shit on the meat eaters, or let's shit on whomever, and still not talk about the shitty false economy and the fact that we're still perpetuating war after war after war because we don't want to own up to the fact that it's fucked. It's fucked. You know? The world as we were taught it to be. You know, the world that we all, the fucking fairy tale that we all bought into. We all bought in, and now we're all responsible for withdrawing that investment and investing in ourselves. That's pretty much what this journey is. So I stop investing in the system to try to get ahead in that fucked up shit, and I bring all of it back into me, and I regenerate it into something more beautiful. Like all to love. Oh, hee hee hee, all to love. Like, that's all it is. It's like knowing full well that I'm just a shitty, lowly human in one regard, that's like, maybe we could love each other more. What if we all just chose to love? Like, that's what it is. And I'm like, I know, I got angry and I thought I hated you, but then I found love. I know, we got upset and maybe it looked like we were all hating on each other, but then we can come back to love. And like the weirdest thing is like the just love self. It's, yeah. Because we are one. If you love self, you love all. And there's no conditions. You know, except for the fact that, like, at some point you do have to fucking stand down that bully energy. And it's like that, it's like this fierce love of the child. Like, no. Stand down. You know? Like, stand down. You're not going to pass this time. Oh, you guys, I love you so much. I'm broke, Melissa. That's why I don't buy clothes. How, Melissa? That is so juicy. I'm happy to be Maybe that's why I don't buy clothes very often. I don't think any of us buy clothes very often because it's not a priority. You know, self-expression is maybe a priority, but like shopping as a form of therapy is not probably our thing. Hey, Abil, how are you? Well, thanks, Seuss. Clever lady. Anti-war movement is dead. It's so dead. Yeah, right. It's like pro-peace movement, right? It's love movement. It's focusing on new paradigm, not fighting against the old. That's what we're learning with quantum mechanics now. It doesn't work. Fighting the old just perpetuates the old. That's part of the deception, and that's part of the Archon grid. That's why so many of us are kind of popping out the other side of these spiritual communities, because the spiritual communities are still under the veil. You know, and so a lot of us at different times are not under the veil, but we're navigating this 3D paradigm being like, where's everybody else that's living beyond the veil? And like, we never found them where we thought we would, except now here we are. Because it's so beyond the veil that it's just the energy stream, and yet everybody's confused and so distracted by the external reality that most of us in this community, I'd say we never really have been. It's always been the inner projected realization, knowingness. I mean, most of you, I've always known that this was my reality. Like that I always knew, just intellectually, just thinking wise. I'm like, of course I'm the only one looking. Of course this is my world. Of course this is my experience. I'm the one fucking perceiving it, right? That was never a question, which hence why do some of us feel such passion about creating a better world? Because this fucking man, I want my brothers and sisters to be fed, yo. I do not want fellow innocent children on another side of the world being made victim to my greed. That is not cool for me at all. I don't want to justify slave labor and war cycle and a false economy that dicks people over just because I can get ahead because I'm a white woman. Like, fucking bullshit world that is. Oh, look, my phone just flipped up saying close, battery close. I'm like, ooh, okay. Starting to get a little bit far. Oh, passion. I need passion. I am pure passion, compassion. Like, I am, oh, and that's what I thought about, was like, you know, sometimes I get really passionate and people are like, well, calm down, calm down. I'm like, I'm not angry, I'm not upset, I'm just like, live. And again, my passion comes from compassion. This passion I feel comes from the fact that I love people and humanity so damn much, and it pisses me off that we're oppressing one another and that we're not listening to one another. It can be electric. Yeah, you are on fire. Fire, fire. More. Better than a Batman and a Terminator. Isn't there like a song? Some fucking badass garage song or something? Ooh, look, Fifth World. I gotta say, Fifth World, the little blue heart, and I'm wearing a blue tank top, and I was just going like this, and I was like, imagine like when we're all like having fun dancing in a club. I mean, on a beach or a forest somewhere exotic, you guys. Melissa T, girlfriend, that is where we're gonna start closing down this chat sesh. The wheel has come around in our favor. It's about fucking time. It's about fucking time, empath, lover community. We get to have fun. We get to actually enjoy these bodies and enjoy this life and allow our love. You reap what you sow. Allow your love to be received. And I just can't wait to actually hang out. There's a couple of you who are like, why aren't you here? I'm like, So, but feel free, you can come visit me in Portugal if you want to come to Portugal for a week or two. I'm there for 4 weeks from mid-end of July to mid-end of August. If anybody wants to do a road trip through Europe, let me know. I've got a spare seat in my car and an extra passenger for my ferry. Anyone in the UK want to drive to Portugal with me? I could really use some company. But otherwise, I'm more than prepared. I'm ready to do this drive. I am on it. So yeah, I'll just keep blabbing on for another 45 minutes. I wish you were in Canada. I would smoke a big joint with you. Well, let's plan some kind of tour. I'll do a little tour and see Divine Sight in Dallas, and I don't know, go over to Montana and see Heath and Susanna, and go to Washington, Seattle, and Portland, because I know loads of you are on the West Coast, and then, oh my god, I had to go to Maine and gotta go to the East Coast because I know lots of you over there. So I'm sure there's gonna be some kind of like, I don't know, mini tour, and or we will look to do a retreat. So yeah, we'll do a retreat, say in like Montana, or pardon me, we'll do a retreat in like the lakes in Canada. And of course, you know that me and Karen are planning a retreat. Karen is Clear Retreats on here, you guys, by the way. But Karen and I are planning a retreat in Kauai, which is one of the big islands on Maui, or on Hawaii. So there. Oh, thanks, you guys. Well, this is part of my intention anyways. Like, I have bases and connections all over the world at this point, so I'm really appreciative of you. Camping retreat, yes. Yeah, upstate New York here, sending love. Amazing. Love you guys so much. I'm so grateful for you. Like, so grateful. If that resonated, if that was enjoyable, feel free to like, subscribe, share. I really, really appreciate it. It's my biz. This is how I make money in the world. Right. Love. Let's pull a card for our love before we close. And then do you know what? I had so much fun yesterday doing the monthlies, which makes me think of women and period blood. Let's do the monthlies. Shh. Let's just pull a card for us. But I really enjoyed it. So I think I'm gonna crack on today, and I'm meeting a friend for a walk, and that's it today. So I'm going to probably do the July readings for, well, just get through them as much as possible. Thanks, BCC. I'm just happy to be flowing with the intuish and to like have literally just no sense of external responsibility at all. Like, it's fucking liberating, for real. I can't even quite describe like the tangibility of how liberating it is. Oh my gee whiz, you guys, we got some really good cards for today. You responded for Sagittarius, sweet elf. Well, and thank you guys so much. So like, OMG, so much love for you guys responding and affirming that, because then you guys were like, yeah, really connection. I'm like, intuition reigns supreme. What is this? Are you a September baby? No. But if that's like Virgo Libra, I have Virgo moon and I'm Libra Mercury, so I do really resonate with the Libra. I'm Aries sun. I'm born April 5th. Across North America, trying to imagine all 20 of us in Caribbean road trip. Dude, and I have actually had that vision as well, like pop-up yoga sessions and having like an Alta Love camper van with like a few little, I don't know, solar powered thingamajiggas off the end. All right. So this is looking really good. This is an independent card, mega love heart, super duper fulfillment. And I feel like because of this is such a good read, you guys. So because we're getting into this and like, you know, you're like, everything's turning in our favor. Hells yes, it is. So now we get to actually like sit and be like, look at what we've achieved. Fantastic. But we're not just going to sit there for the rest of our lives, like looking at what we've achieved. No. We're going to take our beautiful achievements and we're going to set off and we're going to head to clearer waters. There's our beach. We're going to have some parties on the beaches. You know, we're going to take our loved ones and the ones that matter the most to us, who we really fucking care about. We're going to take them with, and we're going to take our swords, take what we got left, and bounce. We're going, we're off, right? Cappy here, heavy connection to Saturn, Mercury. So I'm Capricorn ascendant. This, yeah, I can't even quite. and it's not just me. Pretty much all other Capricorns I know are also just like, like every control pattern, which, and again, we have that quite powerful. The Capricorns are very like, so when things aren't in our control anymore, it's like, yeah. So yeah, it's definitely been a challenge, but we're leading the new, so we need to be feeling it all. And then we have this King of Wands. Ooh, this makes me feel a bit saucy. This makes me think that there might be some spicy king action coming in for us ladies. Or men. You could have a Queen of Wands represent that, I guess. This is a very powerful energy. I'd probably do that. I don't know. Who knows? All right, you guys, I'm out. I'm going to crack on and do some more readings because it's fun. I appreciate you. I love you. King of Wands. Yes! I know so. Oh my God. Oh my God. I love you. Bye, guys. Have a great day. Happy good morning and happy good afternoon and happy and a good evening. Have a glorious day, you must. Love, Yoda. Massive. We get, at least we're aware of it. There's the thing, right? At least we're aware of it. Okay, I'm gonna go continue to rub my face and make sweet love to myself. And maybe do other things as well. But I love you guys. Have a great day. I look forward to seeing you real soon. Bye bye. Love you. Bye.